Your business, your rules. Grow a business that works for you. This is the HerBusiness podcast. Hello, and welcome to the HerBusiness podcast. I'm Susie, I'm your host and the CEO at HerBusiness. Can we talk about how tactically difficult it is to find freedom in your business? It's the concept that we all started our business for, but we soon enough realize that finding time for yourself, let alone all of your projects, is almost impossible when you don't have clear and defined systems. And we can talk about what freedom means and looks like and dream about it all day, but we actually have to do some upfront work. We have to set up systems in order to ever feel that freedom that comes from systems. And yes, I'm going to be really honest. Here's what I want you to hear. If you don't have systems in place, it is likely that you are a bottleneck in your business. If every detail is going through you, if everything is in your head, inaccessible to others, if you're wearing all the responsibility, you are probably being a bottleneck. I know. I've been one many times, and it's kind of plain and simple. So today I'm bringing in an expert who is expert at working with business owners to help them create systems, and she's going to walk us through how to make our own lives easier, our business more profitable, our impact bigger. And her advice is about how to make that jumbled to-do list or ad hoc systems that you have really super streamlined and easy and working for your business and having your team using those systems. So today, our expert is ISO Matters founder Justeen Kirk. She's also a member of the HerBusiness community, and she's a master at bringing to businesses systems that bring clarity, calm, and consistency without the overwhelm. And that's really exactly what every business owner I've ever met needs in order to grow and scale. Now, she has a background in ISO standards and she has years of consulting experience. She supported dozens of Australian businesses to go from feeling scattered around their systems to being really organised and supported. And she believes that structure should feel like support, not like a stress. And it allows us as business owners to step into our business with confidence. She says that she's a type A person, and she says that if you're running a business, you'll probably appreciate that, because here's the thing, we don't have enough hours in the day to get everything done, even if we are type A personalities. So get ready to throw away the title of being a bottleneck in your business, and let's welcome Justeen to the show. Justeen, hi, and welcome to HerBusiness.
Thanks for having me, Susie.
I'm excited about this conversation. All month long inside of HerBusiness, we are talking about systems and how they can empower our business owners to be more effective. And so I want to start with the big picture is, what does freedom mean to you as a business owner, and how did that vision shape the work that you now do with other business owners?
So freedom to me, this has been a journey for me, but what is really important to me right now, and I think this has come from years of being in the grind as a small business owner, but freedom to me is having that ability to choose when and how I show up. And so that doesn't mean I don't want to be in my business. It just means I want to have the choice. So I want to work on the things that I want to work on. I want to work on the things where I can add value and that I enjoy. So that's what freedom is. And that is what is driving the Self-Sustaining Business Blueprint program. And a lot of the work that I'm doing with small businesses is about how do we get that level of freedom, that level of choice for them, so that they can choose how little or how much time they spend in their business and what they're spending that time on.
Great. And I'm a huge fan of systems, and we'll talk about your program later. I want to go kind of high level at the moment and talk about something that I'm hearing all the time in business, and that is that women feel like they're a bottleneck. Everything, if it's to be, it's up to me. Everything kind of lands back in their lap. What are some of the early signs for a business owner that it's really time to start building systems? What are some of those early signs?
Yeah, look, I think the probably the most obvious sign is that you can't really take time off. So if you're the business owner and you want to go away, if the business can't keep operating without you, then you need to systemise. If everything is in your head still, or if the team have to come to you to ask for questions or clarification, if they can't do the things that they're responsible for doing without having to ask you all the time, they're really good indicators that you need to put some systems in place. But yeah, it's essentially, the biggest, I guess, key is that you can't not be there for the business to keep going. So you need to be there. You need to be making the decisions. Everything comes through you. More clients, more work for you, more everything is just more for you. So if you can't delegate, those are the kind of the insights that you should be looking for, and they're the keys.
And there are so many systems, across so many areas of business. If I think across planning, marketing, our people, our money, there's so many areas that we can create systems. Is there anywhere in particular that you suggest that people start when they're in this situation?
Oh, look, I had the philosophy that if you start with your service delivery, so if your service delivery is ticking along beautifully, then the rest of the services can support it. So I use a bit of an analogy here. So if you think that your service delivery is like the bullseye on your dartboard, and so every space on the dartboard has a place, as in every process in your business has a place and a value. But if you can get your service delivery working really well, that's where you're going to make the largest impact with your clients. And so there's no use having your onboarding or your sales working really well if service delivery isn't. So you're bringing people into a clogged, overwhelmed system. So that's only going to make things worse for the business owner. So we tend to try and focus in that system space. But every business is different and every business owner is different. And so some have that working really well and it's other parts of their business. So we really work with you to understand what is the key area that's keeping you stuck, and that is different, but essentially it's generally around that services space.
Yeah, great, because we want to be able to continue to bring on new clients knowing that they're going to come out of the other end as advocates and loyal customers. But so often we can put our emphasis on the front part. Do we have a lead magnet? Do we have a way to get people into our world? Justine, you talk about something called the Freedom Ladder. Can you explain what it is and how it helps business owners to understand where they're at now so that they can determine where they're heading?
Yeah, so we developed the Freedom Ladder to try and help you to identify where you are on your journey. So everybody's at a different place, and it's really hard to know where you need to go if you don't know where you are right now. And so we've got 7 steps in the ladder, and there's a little bit of a loose description around where you are at each step to help you to understand that. But more than that, it breaks that journey down. So if we were to start right now and go, okay, I have 100 systems I need to process or 50 systems, it's really overwhelming. And so the idea is you can just take small steps as you go, and it helps to reduce the overwhelm and the enormity of the task. I mean, processes aren't difficult. They're not hard to develop, but it does mean taking that step. And if we can make it as easy as possible and you can see where you're headed, you can see the goal is to get to level 7. It kind of gives them that structure. They can step up one rung at a time up the ladder, and they can celebrate those wins. Just makes it easier to stay motivated and focused on where they're going.
Yeah, and I've heard that too. It's like there's so many systems, where do I start? So give us an indication like what might be a first rung on the ladder versus a level 7, as you mentioned, just to give those who are listening, because then we don't have a visual, an idea of what is inside the Freedom Ladder.
Yeah, so the first step is kind of it's where you're overwhelmed and you're reactive. So, as a small business owner, everything's coming through you. You're reacting to all of the issues and problems in your day rather than being able to be proactive and planning those things that you need to do in the day. And so then we walk through into you're aware, but you're still stuck, all the way through to building systems, starting to be able to delegate confidently, building your self-sustaining operations, and then, the ultimate position is being that visionary CEO. So where you're providing, the leadership and that strategic direction, but you're not in the weeds doing the day-to-day stuff, unless that's what you like doing and you choose to be there. But you're more providing that high-level guidance and support that your team need in order to keep pulling in the same direction and achieving those goals.
And I know a lot of women, they want to be there at the top of the ladder. And I'm glad that what we're making
Yeah.
clear is in order to get there, we do need to do the work of leveraging, of delegating, of systemising, of having procedures. And even though it might look at the moment like there is so much to systemise, you've got a process, and that's what you work with clients to discover.
Yeah.
Now, one of the areas that I'm fascinated by that you help business owners with is to have them identify their critical 10 systems. And I think you might even have a download about this. Is that right? Do you have a freebie around this? Am I making that up?
We don't have it. Yeah, I think you're making it up. It's okay. But we do have it's in our program that we run.
Got it.
But it is something that we've worked with clients before. So what we do is, again, it's coming back to understanding where are the pinch points in your business. And so to get to the critical 10, we ask our clients to map their main processes. So we put it into some different delivery categories so that people understand, and you can kind of group your nurturing, your onboarding, sales, your delivery, your money, like how do you invoice, and then your retention, referral, etc. with your clients.
So good.
And then we just get them to map their operations there so that they can visually see what they've got. And then they start to put a score. So depending on where it sits and how many minutes on average they would spend doing that task in a week, we then use a formula which helps you to identify which of those critical 10 that are keeping you as the business owner stuck. But the beauty of the critical 10 is that anybody could use it. So as a team member, I can apply that to my processes and the things that I have control over. And I can then go, these are my top 10. So these are my critical 10 that I need to do in order to be able to fulfill the responsibilities I have for my role within the business. And so whilst we use it at that higher level, I've also seen my clients use it for their individual teams to then identify what are the ones they need to focus on within their scope.
Got it. And, we've talked about, yes, there could be hundreds of systems. The longer you leave it to start putting it in systems place, likely the more systems you have. I love that you categorize them by these different functions, but it can still be overwhelming. How do you help business owners overcome the perfectionism about getting this right and the fear of letting go to actually move them into a place where they get excited about putting systems in place?
Yeah, that is a really good question because I suffer from perfectionism, and it can be really debilitating when you're literally trying to get something perfect, and it doesn't need to be perfect. And the truth is, when you're documenting your systems, you actually want to document what's there right now. So you want to know warts and all what is actually the steps that are being followed right now, because that then gives you the insight to go, here's how we can improve it. Here's how we can make it better. Here's how we make it more efficient and all of that. So the thing with processes is you're never going to get it perfect because you actually want it to continue to improve. So just documenting it in whatever form that is, whether it's handwritten, whether it's bullet points, whether it's a process flow map, a Loom video, it doesn't matter how you document. You actually just need to document. And the key is documenting it in a way that the people who are going to be using that can understand it. So sometimes it's better to do a video because you can talk to the context around why you might choose A or B. Other times you might use a tool, something like ScribeHow, where it captures your process steps if you're filling out a form or having to follow a very specific process. So it's just a matter of starting, and you start with the things that are the easiest for you, and that helps you then to build the confidence to just go. So those things that are in your head that only you know how to do, just start there and it's literally just bullet points on a page. I do this, then this, and this, and this. And there might be 10, 15, 20 steps. You don't want to get too many steps. It becomes too complicated. You might break it down into logical chunks. But you just start and just know that perfect doesn't exist in a process world. It's just that you just need to start and you get better and better, and that process will refine Your business will change over time. That process will change as your business changes. So perfect doesn't exist. And so you have my permission to not strive for perfection because it doesn't exist in this instance.
I love it. Now, the obvious benefits, I think, as we're talking about systems, is you can delegate, you get things off your plate, you're not the bottleneck. But I have a feeling there are ripple effects of systemising your business that go beyond that. How does this impact our confidence, our leadership, even our creativity?
So there's a lot of really good documented data, especially around the ISO management system space, which is the same principles. So there's a lot of really good data that says if you are in an organisation that has good processes, good systems, then your staff that are coming to work, they know what they need to do. They've got the tools that they need to do it. And the data shows that there's a higher engagement rate, there's a higher staff retention rate. So I don't know about you, but the jobs that I've loved the most are the ones where I know exactly what I need to do. So you go to work, you've got everything you need at your fingertips to do the really good job that you want to do. And so that gives you a really good sense of satisfaction. From the flip side, or from the owner's perspective, is that you've got those processes out of your head. So I've got this analogy that I once heard, and it's around that our brain is like a coffee table. And so you can only put so many things on the coffee table before they start to fall off. And so if you think of processes in that same way, imagine if we were able to document all of our processes and get those bits of data out of our head. Imagine how much clarity we would have to focus on the things we needed to focus on. Imagine how much calmer and less chaotic we're going to feel because we know that they're documented. We know we don't have to be on top of it all the time, and that we can give it to somebody else, or we just know we don't have to remember it. We can refer to it if we need it. So it does provide a way of reducing your stress and your overwhelm. And it also means that you're more efficient because you don't have to rethink each time, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this again? It's there and you can just follow the bouncy ball.
Yeah. And that, your confidence as a leader is going to go up when you do that. It puts you in the CEO role and allows you to lead, and it allows you the space and time for creativity that is essential for CEOs in order to keep growing the business. But the moment we keep pulling ourselves back into having to explain something again or pick up something that's fallen to the ground because there wasn't a system, we keep ourselves very, very small. So thank you for explaining that. You have designed a program. It's a 12-week journey, and I'm going to ask you about the transformations you've seen in business owners or that you expect to see. But tell us, what type of business is ideal for this 12-week program?
So really any business that is providing a service to someone is originally what we're focusing on. So, I mean, if you have a product, so if you're a product-based business, it will still work, but it's more tailored to those that have a service and around service delivery. So we are working with, or we have worked with consultants. We've worked with people that run programs. We've worked with lawyers. We've worked with all different kinds of businesses that provide a service, manufacturing, all of those kind of businesses. So you could apply it to a product. Again, if you've got a service delivery, and in products you would still have a service delivery, you're still delivering a service, i.e. you're sending that product out. So it really will work with any business. Our key focus in this round has been on service delivery businesses.
Got it. You are an ISO expert. The name is in your company name. Some small business owners might say, oh, ISO is just for corporate. Would you tell us what ISO is and how you translate those standards into something practical that works for a 5-person team with a service business, or even a solopreneur who is delivering services?
Yeah, so ISO stands for the International Organisation of Standardization. So it's an internationally recognised management system framework that helps you to focus on the things that you need to focus on within your business in order to achieve the certain outcome. So depending on which standard you're applying for, so the most common is quality. So ISO 9001 is around quality management, and its focus is very much on customer satisfaction, on making sure that you understand and deliver what the client is asking for, making sure that your quality is where it needs to be, your communication is where it needs to be. And the thing that is really, really beneficial for any size business is that you take those principles and that you apply it in a way that suits you. So there's a very old misconception around ISO is that you have to do, like, it will govern how you do your business rather than supporting you to do your business your way with some guiding principles and frameworks. And so we work with the small businesses and we build a system that's very, very specific to the way they do their work. So we meet them where they are, and wherever possible, we don't change any of their processes, but we wrap the security of the framework around them. So it prompts them to, have you done a quality check? Have you confirmed that you can deliver what the client's actually asking for? Have you checked that what the client's asking for isn't high risk to your business? It's actually a good fit for you. Have you approved who your suppliers are? Do you know who your suppliers are? Who are the suppliers that are going to cause the highest risk in your business if something didn't work? Do you have a contract with them? So the quality is my favorite. And if I had my way, every business should have some form of quality management because it takes the hard work out of being a business owner. It does the heavy lifting for you. You just need to follow the process and read the data, which also tells you, I've got a problem, please look at me. So that's how, we tailor it very specifically. And you can have an ISO system without being certified. And I think that's the other thing that people think if you put in an ISO management system, you have to go and be certified. You don't. You can just run it as a best practice. You can use the principles that ISO provide to give you the governance and the confidence that you're running your business well and in a really smart way without having the cost and the burden of being certified. It only suits, it's only beneficial for some businesses, but not all. But everybody can have the benefit of the management systems.
I love that you said that. I wasn't aware of that. And I know that for the businesses who are listening, who want to grow their business, they might want to sell their business, putting these practices in place, whether you're certified or not, is going to increase the value of your business. I was just having a conversation with an entrepreneur last week who sold his business for multiple 8 figures, and part of it was just putting these processes in place so that he was extricated from the business. The new buyer could come in and say, oh, no one even mentioned you. They all know how to do what they need to do without asking you a question, and that dramatically increased the value of his business. Which brings me to the point of, as business owners, a lot of us like to play by our own rules. Sometimes we can feel systems and procedures like lock us in, but obviously they're also a path to freedom, and that's what I want people to really hear. But I wanted to ask you as a business owner, how do you balance process and running your business with your creativity, your passions, and running a business by your rules?
Yeah, so I have this belief that you don't process or you don't document every single process. So you only need to focus on the ones that are key to your business. And you don't want to over document it. So you don't want to stifle that creativity. You especially don't want to stifle that in your team. So if you have a process that has the guidelines, has the main steps, but then you allow that freedom to operate and to make decisions within the bounds of that process. So then people can think, they can use their brain. You've employed them because they've got a skill set and they've got experience. And so by having processes on those key areas of the business and then allowing other things to just happen organically will actually help the business to grow in a much more meaningful way anyway. The other thing that's important to note is that you can have the very, very best system documented and implemented and no one uses it. and no one uses it because it's not the right system. So I remember reading this article. It was in an architecture magazine, and they were talking about the common issue where you've got a park, and the architects have built this beautiful park with lovely landscaping, and then there's this the sheep track that where it's just walking through. They killed the grass because they're literally cutting the corner to get from A to B in the quickest way. So if you do have systems and people aren't using it, that's also telling you a story. So your system might be too complicated. It might not be easy enough to understand, or it might be stifling them. It might be stopping them from being able to do the job that they need to do. So
you bring
for
up
me,
a really good
I have.
point. Oh, so good. Sorry, I'll hold on to my question. You finish.
So, for me, I think it's really important to document those systems that are really important. The ones where lots of people might be following that same process and you want consistency, or the ones where there's risk to the business. So, those are kind of the ones where you kind of want to have that framework and the stability and the guidance for the team and yourself. The rest of it, if it's not really critical, then don't waste the time in documenting it. That's my approach anyway.
So one of the questions I have heard many, many times from business owners is, how do I get people to actually use the systems? I've written the systems, they're there, but people aren't following the systems. How much of successful systems is obviously the relevance of the system, which you just spoke to, but how much of it is training or monitoring, or what are some of the elements that help hold together the systems that are ultimately going to give us back our time and produce more reliable outcomes?
Yeah, I hear this a lot too. And look, I don't have the perfect solution, but what has worked for us is bringing the team along on the journey. So involve them, give them some ownership in that journey. Most people want to do the right thing. And so if you can explain to them in a way that makes sense. So, we are inherently selfish in that we want to know what's in it for us. So if I'm going into an organization, people are always like, because I'm an agent of change, right? So I'm coming in, I'm going to change things. And what's she going to do? It's, how is that going to affect my work? And so it's really about telling that story. So this is why we're making it. This is how it's going to help you. This is what it means for us as a business, and let them buy into that journey. And then the other part of it is let them take the responsibility for documenting the things that are in their area of control. So as we said earlier, taking that critical 10 and letting them choose, what are the critical 10 in my space? What are those ones that I can do? The other thing is, of course, gamifying it. You can make it a little bit more fun and enjoyable. Who's created the most systems? Who's saved the most time? So that's a really important one, is that every time you document a system, you save time. And so if you've got a system that you've documented it, maybe it saves you 5 minutes, then when you add that up over a year, that can be a lot of time. And so, there's this way of building a little bit of competition in the team, and that doesn't work for everybody, and you do need to make sure that your team isn't ultra competitive. There's no sheep stations on offer here, but at the end of the day, it's just about bringing your team on that journey. And it's really, really important that they know that this isn't about them not doing their job properly. This isn't about controlling. This isn't about micromanaging. It's the complete opposite. Really good systems and processes actually create freedom for you as a business owner, but for you as the employee, you don't have that business owner hovering over you every 5 minutes. Have you done it? Have you done it? Have you done it? So it actually, which is kind of ironic, isn't it, that you put in systems and it gives you freedom rather than not having any systems. Right. But it does. And those people, again, they can come and do their job. They can be, they feel trusted to be able to do what they need to do because they have the tools in place. So it is about telling that story and bringing them on this journey of change. When no one likes change, so you do
but it's
need
freeing
to
up your
put some
time.
thought into it. Yeah,
Happier
it
team,
is. It really
more
is.
time. So good. So congratulations on the new program. We're going to put a link to the details inside of our show notes page, we have a mantra at Her Business, which I know you will have heard before, and that is do what you love every day. So what I'd love to know from you is, what does a day in your business look like when you are doing what you love?
Oh, I love this question. So for me, I love helping people. So if my day consists of working with a small business owner and they have that aha moment, I don't know, that aha moment feels like a million wins all bottled up into one. So for me, a perfect day, a perfect week is a mix of having time to work on the business, new products, new services, talking to my clients, what works, what doesn't work, how we can help them, giving them the aha moments. But more importantly, it's having the ability to go to my children's things at school. It's, being able to support them outside of my business. I also live in a small community. Well, not small, 67,000 people, but it's not like a mega city.
Yeah.
And the other part of that for me is I love to volunteer. I sit on a couple of boards, and I love to be able to give back to my community. So for me, a perfect week is that mix of client work, helping people have aha moments that really change the way their business is, and then giving back to my community in a way that's meaningful. That fills my tank. That's why I have my own business. Yeah.
That's why you have your own business. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the Her Business community and the contribution you make to the other members. And thank you for being my guest today. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Susie.
Hey, to close us out, I want to bring up something I've been seeing more and more recently. And Justine touched on this as well. There's a drastic difference between how women business owners feel about freedom when they enter their business versus how they feel about it after years in business. We come in with really high hopes, right? Maybe you quit your 9-to-5 to pursue your business. Maybe you've been a serial entrepreneur like me and in this space for a long time. But there's this energy we feel coming in, this hope that, this is going to bring so much freedom to my life. And then business owners dive in and we work and we hustle and we push on for years. But one thing that we miss, if we really want to grow and scale sustainable businesses, is the systems element. And I believe that one of the biggest reasons for feeling dissatisfied or disconnected from your business or resenting your team is that lack of systems and procedures. And I know systems isn't the most sexy topic, but you know what's sexy? Having more time, having a team that knows what they're doing, having tasks not drop to the floor, having a turnkey business. Not being attached to your computer, not having to answer every question, having time to think bigger about the future of your business. None of these things can happen without good systems in place. It's truly a bedrock of not just a profitable business, but a sustainable one, because you don't want to be carrying on as the bottleneck with to-do lists drowning you for the rest of your life. You want that freedom that you came into business for in the first place. I see so many business owners, believing that business is just work, it's just the grind, because they haven't got their systems in place. And so business feels heavy. So as we close out today, take a look at your business. Do a little self-analysis. What systems are working? Do you need to take Justine's course? Do you need to put some systems in place? Where can you improve? I love systems, and I love having a business that is systemised. And any time we develop a new product or service or initiative or ebook or whatever, we put in place a system. And inside of Her Business, this month, we are focused all in on systems with our members. We've given them hundreds of dollars in free resources and trainings, things to watch, things to listen to, things to download, things to read, all about putting systems in place. And systems is one of our 8 growth zones. These are 8 areas of business that we teach across in Her Business and we have resources for, and they're areas of business that every successful business has working for them. So that's what's happening this month inside of Her Business, and every month we have a different focus so that women are building businesses that work for them. And so if you would like to join us inside of Her Business, we are now taking applications. So it takes about 48 to 72 hours to turn around your application. So once we have you answer a few questions about your business, we'll ascertain whether we're a good fit for you and your needs as a business owner. And if we are, we're going to invite you to join us. So head over to herbusinessnetwork.com for more details. Now, over on our show notes page at herbusiness.com/329, you're going to find a summary of today's episode episode, as well as links to any resources that we've mentioned and, of course, our special guests' details. Now, if you are new to the show, maybe you've just found us on, Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening, be sure to hit subscribe or follow. That way you're going to get every episode, and we have great shows coming up. For now, I want to say thank you for being here and join me next week right here on the Her Business podcast. Bye for now.